Cynthia Lee in Raleigh, North Carolina, recorded with her phone 2 large ropens. One was chased by a bird. We'll get back to this video footage a bit later, but first we'll hear from an eyewitness in a different area.
I went to turn onto a highway. I looked up and I saw a large flying creature, and it immediately drew my attention because its wings were not flapping like a bird's would. It was rolling kind of like a stingray in the ocean. I noticed it was different than anything I'd ever seen. It wasn't just a regular up and down, it was a rolling motion. It was July of 2018. I decided to keep an eye on it, and I was so curious as to what it was. So I was going the same direction it was, and it eventually moved over towards a tree line about 100 yards off to my left, and I saw it start to dive, and so I continued to watch it.
Was landing?
I could pretty much tell that it landed. What happened was, I have to mention this, when it was in the air, I noticed that when its wings would roll down and I would get to see the top of the wings, there was a shimmer to it, and it almost kind of looked like a rainbow effect on the top of the wings, and the bottom was just gray. And then when it went to dive down by the tree line, I noticed that there was a long tail with a bulb at the end of it, and I kept double checking to make sure, and I'm like, that has to be a tail. Well, it landed right at the end of the tree line, and then there was a road that heads west. It landed right before the road and at the end of the tree line. And at the end of the tree line, there's grass that's higher up, and there's a little like ravine there where there's some water. So what I did was I stopped in the middle of the road, and I thought, do I go home or do I check this out? And I thought, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I saw something I know I haven't seen before. I pulled off on the side of the road. I turned off, and I went over to that side of the trees. And I looked, and I didn't see anything, so I threw a couple rocks at these trees, and nothing happened. Then I went back into my car, and I drove all the way down the west end of that road until it got to a baseball diamond. Then I made a turn around, and I started driving back. And when I started driving back, all of a sudden I saw in my rearview mirror this big black creature fly across. I saw it for about half a second. And I yelled out, "That's it! It's a pterosaur!" I gotta call you back. My wife, of course, she's like, okay. So I put the phone down and I tried to make a turn, but the lanes were too short, so I had to do a 3-point turn, but there was a car on the opposite end that was coming. So I had to like stop, wait, turn, and then head out. And by that time, it was out of sight. But I did get a good look at it in my rearview mirror. It was, I would say, a little bit smaller than the first one, but I got to see its face good enough. I saw some teeth in its mouth, and I saw a large eye. And I could see that the wings were bent at angles in the front and were curved in the back. And I didn't see any feathers. Yeah, they both were going north.
They're both going north.
Yeah.